How can you be truly confident in what you think you know? It's a huge question, right? It's one thing to have an opinion, but it's something else entirely to hold a belief that's genuinely justified. Today, we're going to dive into something called the geometry of belief to figure out exactly how to do that.
So let's start with a question we should probably all ask ourselves a lot more often. Are we really seeing the whole picture? I mean, it is so easy to form a really strong opinion based on just one tiny slice of reality. One statistic, one article, one person's story, and feel like we've got it all figured out. But do we? Really?
And that leads us straight into what you could call the single story trap. It's this very real danger of relying on just one data point, just one perspective. Honestly, it's a trap we all fall into, and it can lead to some seriously flawed conclusions. For example, let's imagine a company sees its online sales suddenly drop. That's it. That's their single story.
I absolutely love this analogy. Just think about looking through an old-fashioned keyhole. You can see something, maybe a flash of color, a little bit of movement, but you have zero context. You can't see the whole room. For that company, that sales drop, that's their keyhole view. They know something is wrong, but they have no idea what it is, or more importantly, why. Making a huge decision based on just that one fact would be a massive gamble. So here it is. This is the fundamental rule for breaking out of that keyhole view. It's a core principle we're talking about today. To get closer to the truth, you have to see it from at least two different angles. One vantage point is just a peek, but two, well, that's when you start to form a real picture. Okay, so how do we actually do this in a systematic way? Well, we use this incredibly powerful technique called triangulation. And yeah, the name comes right out of geometry. Just like in navigation, it's all about using multiple reference points to pinpoint an exact location, or, in our case, to pinpoint the truth. And the two most fundamental vantage points you can have are qualitative and quantitative data. Now, quantitative data, that tells you the what and how many, the hard numbers. For our struggling company, this is their analytics showing that, 70% of customers are abandoning their shopping carts. That is a crucial what. But it doesn't tell them why. And that's where qualitative data comes in. This is the why and the how. Through interviews with users, they start hearing people say things like, the checkout page was super confusing and I couldn't even find where to put my discount code. See? You need both to solve the real problem. This whole practice has a name, data triangulation. It is simply the process of using different types of data to cross-check each other. You ask yourself, do the numbers I'm seeing in the survey line up with the stories I'm hearing in the interviews? For our company, that 70% cart abandonment number suddenly makes perfect sense when you pair it with the user feedback. The two data points confirm each other, and that makes the finding just so much more powerful. And really, this is the ultimate goal here. We're not just collecting data for the sake of it. We're trying to build what's called a justified belief. It's that incredible moment when you move past a simple hunch to a conclusion that's actually supported by multiple, independent lines of evidence. Our company no longer just thinks the checkout page is the problem. They now have a very good, very justified reason to believe it is.
Now, this isn't just a one-and-done check, not at all. It's a dynamic, ongoing process. We can actually visualize the geometry of building this belief as a continuous cycle.
So here's how this cycle works. Our company started with data source A, right? The quantitative analytics showing the sales drop. Then they cross-referenced it with data source B, the qualitative user interviews. Okay, now, based on that combined insight, they take an action, they redesign the checkout page to make that discount box super obvious. But here's the key. It doesn't stop there. They then measure the outcome of that action, which is new sales data, and that feeds right back into the cycle, starting the whole process all over again. And that is the real power of it. It creates a continuous loop of learning, acting, and validating. And every single time you go through this cycle, your understanding gets sharper, your blind spots start to shrink, and your justified belief just gets stronger and stronger. It's basically a system for getting smarter over time. So look, this is way more than just some abstract method for researchers. It's a really practical tool for anyone who has to make important decisions. This is all about seeing the whole picture, in your work, in your life, and even in your own learning.
So what's the real payoff here? What do you get? Well, first, you move from that tiny, restrictive keyhole to a full-on panoramic view. You finally see the context. Second, you actively hunt down your own hidden biases and assumptions. The numbers might tell one story, but human experiences can reveal a completely different reality. This makes your conclusions robust and, maybe most importantly, defensible. When someone asks you, how do you know that? You'll have an answer that's built on multiple pillars of evidence. And all of this leads to the ultimate goal, making better, smarter, more informed decisions.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. Think about your work, your team, or even a personal decision you're weighing right now. What's the most important choice you're about to make where you might just be looking through a single keyhole? And what's one more vantage point you could seek out to really see the bigger picture?